So hello everyone, in this audio class we will read the chapter number 5 Topographical Maps from the book Practical Work in Geography, NCERT Geography Practical Textbook for class 11 part 1. So let's get started with the chapter number 5 Topographical Maps. You know that the map is an important geographic tool. You also know that maps are classified on the basis of scale and functions. The topographical maps which have been referred to in chapter 1 are of utmost importance to geographers. They serve the purpose of base maps and are used to draw all the other maps. Topographical maps, also known as general purpose maps, are drawn at relatively large scales. These maps show important natural and cultural features such as relief, vegetation, water bodies, cultivated land settlements and transport networks, etc. These maps are prepared and published by the National Mapping Organization of each country. For example, the Survey of India prepares the topographical maps in India for the entire country. The topographical maps are drawn in the form of series of maps at different scales. Hence, in the given series, all maps employ the same reference points, scale, projection, conventional signs, symbols and colors. The topographical maps in India are prepared in two series, that is India and adjacent countries series and the international map series of the world. India and the adjacent countries series. Topographical maps under India and adjacent countries series were prepared by the Survey of India till the coming into existence of Delhi Survey Conference in 1937. Henceforth, the preparation of maps for the adjoining countries was abandoned and the Survey of India confined itself to prepare and publish the topographical maps for India as per the specification laid down for the international map series of the world. However, the Survey of India for the topographical maps under the new series retained the numbering system and the layout plan of the abundant India and the adjacent countries series. So, the topographical maps of India are prepared on 1:10 lakhs, 1:2 lakh 50,000, 1:1 lakh 25,000, 1:50,000 and 1:25,000 scale, providing a latitudinal and longitudinal coverage of 4 degree into 4 degree, 1 degree into 1 degree, 30 minute into 30 minute and 15 degree, 15 minute into 15 minute and 15 minute and 5 minute into 7 minute and 30 seconds respectively. The numbering system of each one of these topographical maps is shown in figure 5.1. So there is a glossary. What is contours? Imaginary lines joining all the points of equal elevation or altitude above the mean sea level. They are also called the level lines. Next is contour interval. So interval between two successive contours, it is also known as the vertical interval. Usually written is VI. Generally it is constant for a given map. Next is cross section, a side view of a ground cut vertically along a straight line. It is also known as a section or a profile. Next is hatches. What is hatches? Small straight lines drawn on the map along the direction of maximum slope running across the contours. They give an idea about the differences in the slope of the ground. Next is topographical map. Topographic map. A map of small area drawn on a large scale depicting detailed surface features, both natural and man-made. Relief in this map is shown by contour. Next point is international map series of the world. Topographical maps under international map series of the world are designed to produce standardized maps for the entire world on a scale of 1:10 lakh and 1:2 lakh 50,000. Next point is reading of topographical maps. The study of topographical maps is simple. It requires the reader to get acquainted with the legend, conventional sign and the colors shown on the sheets. The conventional sign and symbols depicted on the topographical sheets are shown in figure 5.2. Next point is methods of relief. Representation. So the earth's surface is not uniform and it varies from mountains to hills to plateaus and plains. The elevation and depression of the earth's surface are known as the physical features or the relief features of the earth. The map showing these features is called a relief map. Next, there is a conventional signs for forest, reserve forest, RF and PF. The PO is a police post office and PS is police station. BM is benchmark and high triangulated station. Dot 200 triangle 200. RH is forest. IB is canal. So these are the conventional signs. Roads are metal roads, that is red continuous line, and unmetal road is red dotted line. All. So a number of methods has been used to show the relief features of the earth's surface on maps over the years. These methods include hatchers, hill shading, layer tints, benchmarks and spot heights and contours. However, contours and spot heights are predominantly used to depict the relief of an area on all topographical maps. Next point is contours. Contours are imaginary lines joining places having the same elevation above the mean sea level. A map showing the landform of an area by contours is called contour map. The method of showing relief features through contour is very useful and versatile. The contour lines on a map provide a useful insight into the topography of an area. Earlier ground surveys and leveling methods were used to draw contours on topographical maps. However, the invention of photography and subsequent use of aerial photography have replaced the conventional methods of surveying, leveling and mapping. Henceforth, these photographs are used in topographical mapping. Contours are drawn at different vertical intervals like 20, 50, 100 meters above the mean sea level. It is known as the contour interval. It is usually constant on a given map. It is generally expressed in meters. While the vertical interval between two successive contour lines remains constant, the horizontal distances varies from place to place depending upon the nature of the slope. The horizontal distance, also known as the horizontal equivalent, is large when the slope is gentler and decreases with increasing slope gradient. Next is some basic feature of contour lines are: a contour line is drawn to show places of equal heights. Contour lines and their shapes represent the height and slope or the gradient of the landform. Closely spaced contours represent steep slopes, while widely spaced contours represent gentle slope. When two or more contour lines merge with each other, they represent features of vertical slopes such as cliffs or waterfalls. Two contours of different elevation usually do not cross each other. Next point is drawings of contours and their cross sections. We know that all the topographical features show varying degrees of slopes. For example, a flat plain exhibits gentler slopes, and the cliffs and gorges are associated with steep slopes. Similarly, valleys and mountain ranges are also characterized by the varying degree of slopes, that is steep to gentle. Hence, the spacing of contours is significant since it indicates the slope. Next point is types of slope. The slopes can broadly be classified into gentle, steep, convex, concave and irregular or undulating. The contours of different types of slopes show a distinct spacing pattern. Next point is gentle slope. When the degree or angle of slope of a feature is very low, the slope will be gentle. The contours representing this type of slope are far apart. Next is steep slope. When the degree or angle of slope of a feature is high and the contours are closely spaced, they indicate steep slope. Next point is concave slope. A slope with a gentle gradient in a lower parts of a relief features and a steep in its upper part is called the concave slope. Contours in this type of slope are widely spaced in the lower parts and are closely spaced in the upper parts. Next is convex slope. So unlike concave slope, the convex slope is fairly gentle in the upper part and steep in the lower part. As a result, the contours are widely spaced in the upper parts and closely spaced in the lower parts. Next point is types of landforms. First is conical hills. So conical hill, it rises almost uniformly from the surrounding land, and conical hill with uniform slope and narrow top is represented by concentric contours spaced almost at regular intervals. Next point is plateau, a widely stretched flat topped highland with relatively steeper slopes rising above the adjoining plain or sea is called the plateau. The contour lines representing a plateau are normally close spaced at the margins, with the innermost contour showing wide gap between its two sides. Next point is valley, a geomorphic feature lying between two hills or ridges and formed as a result of lateral erosion by a river or a glacier is called valley. Next point is V-shaped valley. It resembles the letter V. A V-shaped valley occurs in mountainous areas. The lowermost part of the V-shaped valley is shown by the innermost contour line with very small gap between its two sides, and the lowest value of contour is assigned to it. The contour value increases with uniform intervals for all other contour lines outward. Next is U-shaped valleys. So a U-shaped valley is formed by strong lateral erosion of glaciers at high altitudes. The flat, wide bottom and steep sides make it resembles like letter U. The lowermost part of the U-shaped valley is shown by the innermost contour. The lowermost part of the U-shaped valley is shown by the innermost contour line with a wide gap between its two sides. The contour value increases with uniform intervals for all other contour lines outwards. Next point is gorge. What is gorge? So in the high altitudes, gorge form in areas where the vertical erosion by river is more prominent than the lateral erosion. They are deep and narrow river valleys with very steep slides. A gorge is represented by very closely spaced contours on a map, with the innermost contour showing small gap between its two sides. Next point is spar. A tongue of land projecting from higher ground into lower is called a spar. It also represented by V-shaped contours, but in the reverse manner. The arms of V point to the higher ground and the apex of V to the lower ones. Next point is cliff. Cliff is it is a very steep and almost perpendicular face of landform. On a map, a cliff may be identified by the way contours run very close to one another, ultimately merging into one. Next point is waterfall and rapids. A sudden and more or less perpendicular descent of water from a considerable height in the bed of rivers is called a waterfall. Sometimes a waterfall succeeds or precedes with a cascading stream, forming rapids upstream or downstream of a waterfall. The contours representing a waterfall merge into one another while crossing a river stream, and the rapids are shown by relatively distant contour lines on a map. Next point is steps for drawing a cross section. So these steps are not that much important, so I am skipping that part. Next point is identification of cultural features from topographical sheets. So settlements, buildings, roads, railways are important cultural features shown on topographical sheets, though through conventional signs, symbols and colors. The location and the pattern of distribution of different features help in understanding the area shown on the map. Next point is distribution of settlement. It can be seen in the map through its site, location, pattern, alignment and density. The nature and causes of various settlements pattern may be clearly understood by comparing the settlement map with the contour map. There are 4 types of rural settlement may be identified on the map, that is compact, scattered, linear and circular. Similarly, urban centers may also be distinguished as crossroad town, nodal point, market center, hill station, coastal resort center, port, manufacturing center with suburban villages or satellite towns, capital town, religious centers. Various factors determine the site of settlements like source of water, provision of food, nature of relief, nature and character of occupation, defense. Site of settlement should be closely examined with reference to the contour and drainage map. Density of settlement is directly related to food supply. Sometimes village settlements from alignments, that is, they are spread along a river valley, road, embankment, coastlines. These are called linear settlements. In the case of an urban settlement, a crossroad town assumes a fan-shaped pattern, the houses being arranged along the roadsides and the crossing being at the heart of the town and the main marketplace. In a nodal town, the roads radiate in all directions. Next point is transport and communication pattern. Relief, population size and resource development pattern of an area directly influence the means of transport and communication and their density. These are depicted through conventional signs and symbols. Means of transport and communication provide useful information about the area shown on the map. Next point is interpretation of topographical maps. So, knowledge of map language and sense of directions are essential in reading and interpreting the topo sheets. You must first look for the north line and the scale of the map and orient yourself accordingly. You must have a thorough knowledge of the legends or key given in the map depicting various features. All topo sheets contain a table showing conventional signs and symbols used in the maps. So, conventional signs and symbols are internationally accepted. So, anyone can read any map anywhere in the world without knowing the language of that particular country. So, topographical sheet is usually interpreted under the following heads. First is marginal information, next is relief and drainage, number 3, land use, then means of transport and communication, and human settlement. First, interpretation of topographical maps. First is marginal information. So, what is marginal information? It includes the topographical sheet number, its location, grid references, its extent in degrees and minutes, scale, and the district covered. Next point, next is relief of the area. So, the general topography of the area is studied to identify the plains, plateaus, hills or mountains along with peaks, ridges, spur and general direction of the slope. These features are studied under the following heads. First is hill with concave, convex, steep or gentle slope and shape. Next is plateau, whether it is broad, narrow, flat, undulating or dissected. Next is plain, its type like alluvial or glacial, karst or coastal or marshy, etc. Next is mountain, general elevation, peak, passes, etc. Next is drainage of that area, the important rivers and their tributaries and the type and extent of valleys formed by them, and the type of drainage pattern like dendritic, radial, ring, trellis, internal, etc. Next is land use. It includes the use of land under different categories like natural vegetation and forest, which part of the area is forested and whether it is dense forest or thin, and the categories of forest found there like reserved, protected or classified or unclassified. Next is agriculture, orchard, wasteland, industrial, etc. Next is facilities and services such as schools, college, hospitals, parks, airports, electric substations, etc. Next interpretation element is transport and communication. The means of transport include in national and state highways, district roads, car tracks, camel tracks, footpaths, railways, waterways, major communication lines, post offices, etc. Next is settlement. Settlements are studied under the following heads: rural settlements, the types and pattern of rural settlements, the compact or its whether it is compact or semi-compact, dispersed or linear, etc. Next is urban settlement, type of urban settlement and their functions like capital cities, administrative towns, religious towns, port towns, hill stations, etc. Next point is occupation. The general occupation of the people of that area may be identified with the help of land use and the type of settlement. For example, in rural areas, the main occupation of majority of the people is agriculture. In tribal regions, lumbering and primitive agriculture dominates, and in coastal areas, fishing is practiced. Similarly, in cities and towns, services and business appear to be the major occupations of the people. Next point is map interpretation procedure. So map interpretation involves the study of factors that explain the causal relationship among several features shown on the map. For example, the distribution of natural vegetation and cultivated land can be better understood against the background of the landform and drainage. Likewise, the distribution of settlement can be examined in association with the level of transport network system and the nature of topography. Next point is the following steps will help in map interpretation. Find out from the index number of the topographical sheet the location of the area in India. This would give an idea of the general characteristics of the major and minor physiographic divisions of the area. Note the scale of the map and the contour interval, which will give the extent and general landform of the area. Next, trace out the following features on tracing sheets. Major landforms as shown by contours and other graphical features. Next is drainage and water features, the main rivers and its important tributaries. Next is land use, whether it is forested or agricultural land or wasteland or sanctuary, park, school, etc. Next is settlement and transport pattern. Describe the distribution pattern of each feature separately, drawing attention to the most important aspect. Superimpose pairs of these maps and note down the relationship, if any, between the two patterns. For example, if a contour map is superimposed over a land use map, it provides the relationship between the degree of slope and the type of land used. So aerial photographs and satellite imageries of the same area and of the same scale can also be compared with the topographical map to update the information. So thank you for listening. Keep listening for the further audio classes. This is for today. Thank you.